What's going on, guys? This is Training Joku, Sneaker Principal. And I want to share with you a thought that I have. And this thought is, why do I, actually not a thought, really a question. Why do I keep coming back to YouTube? I've been on YouTube since 2018. As far as creating content, I believe it's 2018. Maybe 17, but I really believe it's 18. And no, 18. Definitely 18. No, 17. It doesn't really matter. It's just that I've been at this for what now is 7 years. However, my channel has gone through so many different renditions of me. Starting off talking about sneakers, then financial literacy, then family, then all these different things. Almost like I'm trying to find a voice. I heard today on a video I was watching, or better yet, listening to as I was driving home, where it was asked whether or not you are a architect or an archaeologist, especially when it comes to creating content. And the description of the archaeologist is that you're just digging. You're digging, and you're finding things. You're like, oh, I found a bone over here. Oh, I found an arrowhead over here. Oh, I found some pottery over here. And yes, the connecting tissue between all of them is that there are things that you're finding that have some kind of historical value, some kind of value, but they're not necessarily connected to each other. Because you can dig in one spot and find a can, and a can can be 50 years old, and it's like, wow, look at this can from 50 years ago. But you can move to another spot and dig up a arrowhead that's 1,000 years old. They're not connected to each other. You just dug them up. The can might be a great conversation piece 50 years ago. What has this can seen? Now versus the arrowhead, where you could be like, from 1,000 years ago, did this arrowhead kill a woolly mammoth? Did it kill another human being? Like, was it ever used? Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, there's points of interest in all these different things, but they're not really connected. You can't really connect them together. But the other thing now is, the other option is to be architect, where you're intentionally building something and saying, this is what I'm building. I'm going to stick to this space. There might be some branches, but they're still connected to the space. And I was like, you know what? I am totally an archaeologist. And I don't know if I can be an architect. But however, in this space where I literally talk about everything that I can think of that interests me, there is something to also be said about having a library of thoughts and moments in life. Something that I know, hopefully, barring technology and power dying out, that my kids can go back to and say, hey, there goes Dad. Look at what he was posting 20 years ago. Look at the things he was talking about. Look at his evolution as a man in these spaces. So, no matter how many times I've said, I've never quit YouTube. I just stopped posting. And I've gone as long as like a year, maybe even longer, not posting. But then I'll have these furies of just creativity and creating stuff. Some of the videos might have 5 views, some of the videos might have 10 views, some views might be 1,000. But it's always a slow burn of views. And now I ask myself, what if I commit? I've asked myself this question before many times. What if I commit to just saying, for the next 100 days, I'm just going to keep creating content? No matter what it is, of course, I'm going to try to connect it as close as possible in a manner that's more of me being an architect versus me just being an archaeologist. I think at this point in time, I'm becoming more of an architect, because the things that I talk about all connect to me in a very realistic way. Things that really fascinate me, things that give me concern, things that are really true to who I am right now as a 48-year-old man who is a father of 2 and is going through many of the things that most men go through in their midlives. The only difference is I don't believe I'm going through a midlife crisis, but I am going through a. It's important that the things that I want to say, I get to say them. Even if no one ever listens to them or takes them seriously, but it was said, and for record, it exists out there. But I really believe at some point in time, my kids would want to understand me better, and I think they would only understand me best through watching these videos. So this is why I create content. This is why I talk about things that I talk about, because at the end of the day, I'm passionate about these things, and these things, to the core, represent who I am. So I will be talking about being an educator. I will be talking about, I will be giving people advice and my insights into that field. But also, we'll be talking about my cameras and my lenses and my passion for taking photographs and documenting. And also be talking about video as well, because I want to become more proficient in making videos that are not just auto setting and that's it. So right now, this video is my first time venturing into C-Log on Canon. And not only that, I'm recording on the Canon EOS R, which was my first Canon mirrorless camera from when it first came out. But I've always just recorded, 4K, whatever, and not really give myself the time to understand this camera. So I want to talk about this. I want to talk about why this footage is going to look very different from anything I've ever done before, and why I'm going to set this camera for just this purpose. I'm also going to talk about my ZVE1 Sony video camera that is also quite fascinating, and it's positioned at a dining table so I can sit down and talk to the camera from that angle. And I'm going to also consider, I'm not going to change anything about my studio setup, because that's the RP, and I just like the way that looks. It looks like a YouTube video, like very simple studio, keep it simple. I don't know, I'm not sure if I had that set up as properly, but I don't want to mess with it. But I like how it comes out. But knowing me, I'm going to mess with it. I'm going to mess with it with the frame rates and the shutter speed, and make that maybe even nicer. But again, these are things that I enjoy, and often people look at me and be like, dude, you're all over the place. No, I'm not. I am an educator. I'm a very curious person. And if you're really an educator and you like to teach, it also means you like to learn. And for me, it just so happens that my learning space is around digital communications, cameras, photography, video, graphic design, But yes, I still run the heck out of my school as a school principal. These are all part of who I am. And I know I'm very unusual amongst my peers, and uncommon amongst the uncommon. But I love every moment of it, and I just want to make sure that I spend the rest of my life living better than I did before, better than I did during the first half of my life, where I refused or didn't have the courage to connect all my passions together into one space. So, all right, I just wanted to share that real quick. This is going nowhere as far as I'm not teaching you anything. I'm not showing you anything particular. I'm just opening my brain and sharing with you what's in my head right now. All right, y'all. Uche and Joku, Sneaker Principal. Till next time, be well.